What's up, everybody? This is Alex Sylvia with NuView Trust Company coming to you today with our next Wednesday weekly workshop. Today, we're going to be covering 7 reasons why choosing the right title company matters. So I'm just going to be going over a couple basics of self-directed IRA, basics of self-directed IRAs first, a little bit about NuView, and then we'll be introducing our guest speaker coming from Equity Title Company. She'll be presenting today. Her name is Cindy Goodrich. So like I said, I'll just go over the basics real quick about self-directed IRAs, about NuView, and then we'll introduce our guest speaker and let her take the floor. So thanks for attending today and hope you enjoy. So what is a self-directed IRA? Technically speaking, self-directed is just a marketing term. The real difference comes in when you're considering which custodian you're going to be investing through. So our IRAs at NuView, they're no different than the IRAs you get at a Fidelity or Charles Schwab. The difference is that NuView, we allow our clients to invest outside of the stock market into what we call alternative assets. So much better diversification, possibly a whole lot more tangibility of the assets that you're investing in. A lot of benefits that come with it. So like I said, you get the diversification, you get tax savings, just like any other IRA. So you get tax deferred growth. If you're using something like a Roth IRA, you get tax-free qualified distributions. Now, investing in the stock market with an IRA, yes, you get to have the same tax benefits, but with alternatives, maybe something cash flowing like real estate or private lending, now you can add fuel to the fire with some cash flow that compounds as well. Another benefit too is you can invest in what you know best. So a lot of people, they may invest in the stock market because it's what other people do. It's what their financial advisor told them. But one benefit to self-directed IRAs that you don't get with a Fidelity or Charles Schwab is you might be able to take a skill set that you've already mastered. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's lending, cryptocurrency, private equities. There's an opportunity for you to take a skill set that you may already have mastered or know very well and apply it in something that's tax sheltered, like a self-directed IRA from NuView. So at NuView, we've got a couple of different what I call vehicles for your investments. These are all tax advantaged in some way or another, and they can be sectioned off into different what I call umbrellas. So you've got an umbrella of your personal plans, which includes your Roth IRA and your traditional IRA. We have employer plans for self-employed people. So this would be something like a solo 401k, a SEP IRA, or a simple IRA. And then we have your specialty plans, the kind that Nate says, do you want fries with that? These are the extra add-ons. And these accounts are cool because you can actually use them now. These are your health savings accounts and your education savings accounts. Health savings accounts you can use for qualified medical expenses. Education savings accounts you can use for qualified education expenses. Now, these experience the same kind of tax advantage growth as do the other accounts. They can be invested in all the same ways and all the same alternative assets. But the key difference being is you don't have to wait for retirement to use those accounts. So go a little bit further into what can you actually invest in using a self-directed IRA, HSA, ESA, or even solo 401k. So in the world of real estate, pretty much any strategy that you could think of is doable within an IRA. There's just some added rules or guidelines that you have to stay within because it's an IRA investment. The IRS wants these types of investments made in your IRA to be a little bit more hands-off. So if you have more questions about real estate, definitely reach out to us. We can walk you through, the different rules associated with that. But generally speaking, if you can do a strategy outside of an IRA, you could do it inside of an IRA. You can also be the bank with your IRA and invest in something called promissory notes, where you can issue loans to other investors and get interest payments back to your IRA. Private entities, these could be things like LLCs, LPs, limited partnerships, joint ventures. And we even have clients that invest in cryptocurrency using their IRA, and they choose to take their IRA funds and invest them into digital assets as a speculative type of investment. So those are just a handful of the types of things you can invest in using a self-directed IRA. The IRS is really good at telling us what we can't invest in, which is collectibles and life insurance. But generally speaking, once again, anything else, if you can draw up a title for it, if you can draw up a purchase contract for it, your IRA can, in fact, invest in that type of asset. So today like I said, we're covering 7 reasons why choosing the right title company matters. And for that, we've got Equity Title Company's title insurance agent, Cindy Goodrich, coming on to speak about, seven reasons why choosing the right title company matters. So Cindy works for Equity Title Company, which was founded by Sue Folco and Frank Folco, who are actually her parents, and they're also NuView clients. So they've been with NuView for a long time. Her parents use our services, and we're actually able to, refer some clients over to their, title company if they're in need of services. And just as a reminder, NuView, we're not financial advisors. We don't give financial advice. We don't give tax advice. It's always in the NuView clients' hands to do their own due diligence and ultimately pick who they want to work with for their investments. But Equity Title, they've been good to our clients throughout the years, and we're definitely happy to have Cindy on to speak a little bit deeper into the title side of things. We've had webinars on strategy of real estate, due diligence, when you're picking your properties or your tenants, but haven't had something dive so deep on the title side of things. So Cindy, we're very, very happy to have you, and I'll let you take it away from here.
Thank you so much. All right. Yes, I've been a title agent for 8 years now. Well, no, I'm sorry. I've been with the company 8 years, and I've been a title agent for 5 years now. I'm going to share my screen, which will have the presentation. And here we go. So this is about 7 reasons why choosing the right title company matters. We're going to go over a few ways to choose your title company and how it can work best for you, and why the title company that you choose can matter in the quality of your closing. The importance of title insurance. A lot of people will ask, what is title insurance and why do I need it? Who pays for it? What does the title company do, and why does this matter? Title insurance, basically, it gives ownership. So the definition of title is the legal right to own a piece of land or building and a document that shows that ownership. Documents can be a warranty deed, a special warranty deed, a deed to a trustee, quitclaim deed, certificates of title, personal representatives deeds. There's also deed in lieu of foreclosure. There's other types that we can use based on the circumstance, but for the most part, these are the types of titles and deeds that we use in Florida. Why should you purchase title insurance? Well, title insurance researches these items that kind of can predict how easy it is for you to own that property. So it lists things such as tax liens. There could be issues with the legal descriptions. There could be issues with the chain of title, which is how it's transferred from one owner to the other. There could be recording errors. There could be title search errors. And there could be claims by missing spouses, people that didn't participate in the transaction. Who pays for this title insurance? Well, it's usually dictated on the contract. Traditionally, in most areas, the seller will pay for it, but given that we deal with a lot of investors, they prefer to cover that cost. So it's one less thing that the seller has to pay for out of closing. We usually request that a title order is sent over if there's a lender involved, and that just tells us how much the loan is for, which can dictate how much the policy is for. Forbes magazine says what makes a good title company is a company that does 2 things well. They coordinate the transaction efficiently, and they provide remarkable customer service. Tell me why this all matters. It matters because any home or land is one of the largest financial purchases that you'll make. And like how you decide on a lender to who's going to loan you the money, it's imperative to limit your search to only the best that can facilitate the type of transaction that you would prefer to do. So the typical real estate transaction paperwork initiates with the contract. The contract dictates the due dates, who's involved in the transaction, who's responsible for any financial obligations, and who pays for what. It also can give us a good timeline of completion. The next part is the inspection period. A lot of people will default to a 5, 10, 15-day inspection period. And during that time, we're gathering information. We're doing the title search, we're doing the lien search. If there's a survey that's necessary, we work on that too. We're working behind the scenes while you're working on your side of the thing. By the closing date, we have all the paperwork signed and the money's dispersed. Everybody is extremely happy because that is the day for celebration. I wanted to go over a scenario or two that could hinder your transaction. Probate. I'm not an attorney, and we're not attorneys here in this office, but a lot of times probate is necessary in transferring ownership of the property due to the fact that one of the owners or the main owner of the property has passed away. In the state of Florida, there is a way, depending on how it's vested, if it's deeded to a husband and a wife, that the property could go to the surviving spouse. However, if there is no one else listed on the transaction, or maybe a company, then it's probable that it would have to go through probate. We have a number of attorneys that we work with that we can refer out to. The timeline is usually dependent on the attorney that is working on the case, but on average, it's 2 to 4 months to complete. This should never be a reason not to move forward with a transaction, because it's possible as long as you have the right attorney on your side. Again, this kind of, I think I explained a little bit too much of the first slide. So the probate, it can happen, it can transfer to the spouse if it was a homestead property. If it was an investment property or out-of-state residence, that can be tricky too. We had a recent scenario where the title was deeded to a person who was once married. Okay, it was a husband and wife at one time. They'd gotten divorced, but they never deeded it back to the husband who was claiming ownership. And so the deceased wife, they wanted to do probate on the case for that. It's complicated, but if you have questions about exactly who and what, it's better to ask a probate attorney. We do have a lot of experience and we can probably point you in the right direction, but in general, you might want to ask an attorney who would get the property. Probate is always possible to be needed if it was a rental or an investment property, or if the person that passed away lived out of state. Sometimes if they lived out of state, they may do a probate case in that state of residence, like Michigan or Connecticut, but they may not do a probate case in Florida, even if they own property in Florida. Mobile homes. Mobile homes are can be tricky in completing a transaction. Information is key. We will do a transaction if the mobile home is on land that the person can buy and sell. If it's in a park where they pay lot rent, we're not able to handle those types of transactions normally. But if you have questions, we can help with that. When you have a mobile home, it's a lot to do with who owns it and has it been properly transferred. The mobile homes are treated like a vehicle, so it's registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles. If it's not, it's not always transferred with a warranty deed, even if it's listed in the legal description. And so we have to contact the Department of Motor Vehicles. We go to the clerk of courts and the Department of Transportation and the property appraiser in the course of canceling out the titles, which basically means tying the home to the land that you're purchasing. It does take several steps in order to tie the property or tie the home to the property. Most title companies and attorneys will outsource this and may or may not know how to do this correctly. It is a process, but Alex had mentioned my father, Frank. He is a local expert in mobile home transactions and in transferring ownership. We are very fortunate to have him on our side and getting a lot of these transactions through. We'd have to do a search for each side of the mobile home. If it's a single wide, obviously there's just one, and a double wide, there would be 2 titles. And then we have to acquire the mobile home titles. Either we go to the DMV and have them printed, or if they actually have, if the seller has a copy to hand us, we would of course prefer that if that's possible. We have to make sure that the current person selling is the person on the title. That's what I meant when I said that it's sometimes transferred with a warranty deed, but it's not transferred through the Department of Motor Vehicles. It will list with the Department of Motor Vehicles if there's a lien, and that counts as a mortgage or some sort of other item that is a lien on the property. The deed and the mortgage should also include the mobile home information if it is to be included in the transaction. It must be made real property and declared real property. Most of the time, if taxes are collected for the land and the mobile home, it's a simple transaction for that part. We can provide the forms. We sometimes will fill them out for you, so all you have to do is sign. We take the documents and take them to the tag office. We get the real property sticker. We take the forms to and from the clerk of courts and back to the tag office to finally cancel out the titles. A title company's responsibilities: we perform a title search. We act as an escrow agent. We research the seller. We determine if they are the legitimate person to sell the property. We act as the closing agent, and we issue title insurance. Having clear title to your property is crucial to any real estate transaction. You can go ahead and transfer ownership by doing a quitclaim deed. You can, it is completely up to you how you want to complete your transaction. Title insurance is, it's insurance. It's different from homeowners insurance. So it will definitely protect you down the road if you have any issues. You want to make sure that the property that you're buying is legitimately owned by the person that is signing the contract. They could be a relative or someone acting on someone's behalf, but we want to make sure that you own it so you don't have any trouble when you go to sell it. That's the whole purpose of having title insurance. So here we are at the 7 reasons why choosing the right title company is important. Your title company should be underwritten by a reputable title company, or I'm sorry, should be underwritten by a reputable national agency. We're underwritten by Old Republic National Title Insurance, and they've been in business over 100 years. Excellent customer service will make your closing process go smoother. It's preferred to have a local title insurance company if it's something that you want to stop in and check in on your transaction. We don't have that issue necessarily. We are in Polk County. I know that everyone else's kind of scattered all around the Florida and outside the Florida areas. We are in Lakeland, but don't necessarily let that deter whether or not we are the title company that you should work with. We handle transactions all over the world, and as long as the property's in Florida, we can take care of it. Knowledgeable staff will come through when the going gets tough. We like to think that we've dealt with pretty much any kind of transaction. There are moments where we do get surprised and have a little bit of a complicated situation. But we've dealt with enough transactions over the 20 years that would give us the experience to handle most anything. Size of the company it's not everything, but it can matter. We're a relatively small organization. There's really only 7 of us, and we have a receptionist, we have 3 processors and 2 agents, and that added up to 6. And Frank, who is, basically our VIP, who takes care of all the extraneous stuff. Price and cost should be reasonable, not too low, not too high. We like to think that we deliver a quality product. We do try to offer a little bit of wiggle room with our settlement fee, which is really the only negotiable fee that we have. Every other fee is pretty much set by the state, and it's based largely on the purchase price of the property. And it's best to choose wisely so you can close more and more transactions. If you have a good experience, you probably want to go back and use those people again. And I apologize. I didn't realize that all of these slides had explanations. So the title company should be underwritten by a reputable title company. The big 4 are Old Republic, Fidelity National, Stewart Title, First American Title. Smaller regional underwriters are okay, but having a national company can help you settle a claim more quickly. We try to pride ourselves on our communication. We do have a large volume of clients and files at this time, so we do the very best that we can to make sure that we are communicating on a regular basis with all of our clients. And we find that that is probably what sets us apart from other title companies. We try to have a point of contact assigned to each. We have repeat clients who have a certain processor that is their processor. But we do try to have a system in place for consistent closings. You want somebody that can respond to any phone calls or emails quickly. They can answer your questions confidently. They have solutions instead of excuses. We like to have our office comfortable and inviting, and the staff is helpful, friendly, and positive. Back to the local title company. It's really just accessibility. Some people do work with a title company that's close to their personal location just for signing convenience. There are so many different ways to sign documents these days. You don't have to be in person in our office in Lakeland. It does kind of help, and it does make the transaction a little more comfortable. However, it's not absolutely necessary. If you have somebody that's local, they're familiar with the area, maybe familiar with the land that you're dealing with, and your local title company should be able to service the entire state. A knowledgeable staff will come through when the going gets tough time after time. The more deals that you close, the more problems you'll encounter. Customer service should be the #1 goal for any company. And your closing company should be able to handle difficult problems, and they should regularly handle the types of closings that you require. Size isn't everything, but it matters. Do you need the biggest company or the most competently staffed? The company needs to be able to handle the fluctuations in the market with ease. A company too big may mean less premium customer service and communication. Price. As I said, title insurance premiums are set by the state, and they're governed by mostly the purchase price or the sale price of the property. Your company should maintain prices and costs that are comparable with others in the industry, and you do get what you pay for. What else does a good title company offer? Peace of mind, knowing that your transaction is going to be handled with professionalism, efficiency, and knowledge. If you choose wisely, you can close confidently. I'm close to the end of my presentation. This is my staff. This is everybody that kind of makes the magic happen every day. This is Sue, who started the company, of course, myself, Adrian, who's been with us over 7 years, Shaylin, who's been with us over 4 years, and Sonia, 3. Chelsea is our newest person. She's been here almost a year. I guess we're at the questions portion of the thing. Do we have questions?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much, Cindy. That was very, very insightful. Personally, I haven't exactly done a real estate transaction myself. I'm still looking for that first home purchase. So I was definitely appreciative of all the points you made in terms of, you know, things to consider. So I did jot down some questions. Did have some come in as well. So the first one I want to ask is, do you handle all types of real estate transactions at Equity Title, or is it just a select few? Because I know there's so many different ways that people can approach real estate purchases. Is pretty much anything under the sun something Equity Title would be able to help with?
We do handle most anything. We handle conventional transactions, you know, where it's a cash transaction, or there can be a conventional lender involved. We deal a lot with vacant land these days. Investors, they have lots of different types of closings. There's double close, assignments, subject to, and they can also do private lenders and land trusts. Those are also major. But we can handle most any type of transaction that investors have.
Okay. Is there, if somebody's using a self-directed IRA, for example, is there any special considerations for them to make, or, you know, is it really just the same kind of process, maybe just with a different entity involved?
It's really not much of a difference. We just have to make sure that everybody's involved and has communication as far as who is signing. Sometimes the IRA holder is signing, but sometimes it's someone from NuView that has to sign on their behalf. But we want to make sure that everybody has seen the paperwork and reviewed it before we get to that point.
Okay, perfect. And what's like a typical timeline that somebody might expect from, you know, getting a property under contract to closing?
Well, normally we prefer a minimum of 3 weeks. If we can close faster, we will definitely. However, because of our current volume, our searches are taking closer to 10 business days to complete. So it kind of cuts it close if we say 3 weeks. We're kind of leaning a little more towards 4 weeks, although in any circumstance, if we can close early, we'll offer that.
Okay. Is there anything specific that comes up along the way that somebody might need to be aware of that could push that closing date back further? Just maybe anything that might be common that you see that extends it?
Lately, it's the lien search. We do a title search, which researches everything that's in public record, and the lien search will look up permits or code enforcement issues, any outstanding utilities. Those are taking a little bit longer, and it's usually the smaller counties or more rural counties, not smaller, but more rural counties that are taking a little bit more time. There's a few that aren't online, and so their lack of technology kind of slows us down just a little bit.
Yeah, you have to start using like carrier pigeon or something to correspond with them.
Pretty much.
Very good. Okay. So, and I would assume that because it's more of a reason or more of a situation because of just lack of resources maybe on their side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they just haven't caught up with the current technology. It's very few. It's probably just maybe 3 or 4 in Florida that just aren't set up just yet.
What, and generally speaking, how much would title insurance cost for somebody?
Well, it's based on the purchase price. Any property that is valued under, I think, 17,000, the policy is $100. It goes up from there, but I don't really have a calculation. If anybody wants to kind of figure out how much the title insurance and all the closing costs are, you can go to our website. We have a quote generator on any of the main pages, and it's very simple. You just input the information about the sale price and who's paying for what, and it should give you a general quote as to how much everything costs.
Very good. Cool. So we also just had one come into the to the chat box, and it's from Yang, and I'm hoping I pronounced that right. But do you do closings that involve a 1031 exchange, and would that make the process more difficult?
Yes, we do. And no, it does not make it more difficult. Again, it's really just making sure that everybody is involved in the process. We have to make sure that we have sent out paperwork to the 1031 exchange. They usually have a very specific way that they want their signature to be presented. But outside of that, it's minor changes and very easy to do.
Okay. Very good. And I'm assuming too, just with 1031 exchanges by nature, having some, I guess, ticking clocks in there built in with like a 45-day rule, 180-day rule, where they have to locate a property within a certain amount of time. That, it kind of has a whole lot of moving parts at the same time. So
Yeah,
it seems like one of those instances where communication really is key, just to make sure that everybody knows what important timelines are coming up and what have you.
100%. You are correct.
Very good. Okay. So another one that I had jotted down, I know you covered things to consider, but is there anything that's kind of like an outright something that somebody should avoid if they're looking for a title company or title insurance? I know there's things to consider, but is there anything that you would tell somebody to run away from like the plague?
I would probably say if there is a lack of communication, or if they're unwilling to maybe share some information, we operate full disclosure. Not every closing is going to have good news. I mean, most of them do, but if there's something that should scare off the person that's buying the property, we will disclose that, because nobody wants to be stuck with something that they can't sell. And if your title company isn't sharing maybe the title commitment that is initially set up, or any of the lien reports, I would question that, because it's something that should be sent out very early in the process.
Okay. Very good. So I know this is probably like a little high level too, and this is coming from my little bit of a novice investor background, at least concerning real estate. But what in like totality is included in the closing costs? Like, do you have like a breakdown of what somebody might see as like line items, at closing?
Well, our settlement fee mostly covers our work on the file, but it also covers things like FedEx, any wire fees. We allow, a certain number of wires in and out that are encompassed in our settlement fee. Most everything else is itemed out, like for recording fees or a lien search. But our settlement fee is mostly just covering the process of the file and some of the minor costs that get it done.
Okay. Just out of curiosity too, do you have any any horror story if somebody didn't get title insurance? What might be the repercussions of not having it?
Well, we do get that a lot. There'll be people that will approach us with a file, and once we provide the title search to them, sometimes they will take it and just do a quick claim deed. I would probably say that's not a great idea, but that's only because I've seen some things pop up. We've had some transactions where a mortgage hasn't been paid off, or it has been paid off, but it hasn't been fully satisfied with the bank. And so it appears as if there's a loan out there. And when you transfer ownership, you own that loan. So if the mortgage isn't paid off by the previous owner, then you get that loan in addition to whatever you paid for the property. that can
Wow.
be really
Yeah.
challenging.
I was about to say that would be the opposite of good news, is
Mhm.
figuring out that you're not liable for however much that loan could be for.
And
Wow.
people will go ahead and just do a quick claim deed with the person that's selling the property and then come to us and want to clean up the title and just
Mhm.
research it at that point. And it's very difficult to clean up a title when the person that you bought it from kind of disappears. So
Yeah, it seems like something that, like, I my first thought is almost relating it to health insurance, about how when you sign up for health insurance, they're asking you if you have any pre-existing conditions, are you terminally ill, and then trying to retroactively get health insurance, because
right.
it does not work as smoothly, if at all the same, if even close.
No, it really doesn't. It's
Wow.
it's it's very difficult to get somebody's social security number when they won't talk to you.
Yeah.
So
Very good. Well, honestly, that's aside from, maybe a couple other questions that I've jotted down. If anybody's got questions for Cindy that they want to throw into the chat, we still got a few more minutes here. I know it's a little quick presentation today, and we'll probably be wrapping up soon, but we still have time if some people want to throw some questions in the chat or on the Q&A. We'd be happy to answer those for you. I've only got a couple more myself, starting with, just generally speaking, at equity title, for example, how many people are actually involved with a file? Like, how many people actually touch it from beginning to end?
well, we normally have our receptionist sets up most of the file. She handles the initial data entry and setting it up with our underwriter and our research team. At that point, it's reviewed by the agent, and then it's passed on to the processor. Your processor is usually the person that you'll work with until the closing day, and then it just gets moved to me, usually for funding, and then we process it for the title insurance. So normally everybody in the office will handle the file, but your transaction is largely with the one person that is handling the majority of the closing.
Okay,
And
very good.
we try to partner our processors with uh, clients that are repeat clients. So if once we find you're bringing more than one deal, we'll kind of keep you with the same processor, because then you're both familiar with how you like to work.
Okay, that's awesome. No, that's definitely good to hear. So, yeah, that's all we got as far as questions. Cindy, thank you so much for your time today. And like I said, it was a little last minute getting you on here, but you definitely saved the day for us. And hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. This is honestly something that we haven't touched on for a webinar up until now, and it's very clearly a critical part of the real estate investing process. So once again, Cindy, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely need to get you on again, maybe in the future. If you have any case studies, any specific situations, circumstances that kind of throw you a curveball, I'm sure our
I,
viewers would love
I
to
could
hear.
I can do one on the scary stuff that we've
Yeah,
encountered. And so
no, that would be very good, because honestly, it sounds like something like, everybody should consider, if not very, very strictly do, is get title insurance. Because, just like when you buy a new electronic device and they ask you, hey, spend $5 and it's going to be covered for the next 2 years, kind of seems like a no-brainer, and then you have an asset like a piece of real estate that's, far and beyond whatever you'd pay for, an electronic device or something. And some people might still decline to get title insurance, which, you'd think that it's a little bit more important for something that's so much more valuable to
well,
somebody.
you would think that, and a lot of people just want to just move ahead and do it as quickly as possible. But just like anything else, do your research. You don't necessarily have to do business with Equity Title, and if you do, then we're always grateful for that. But just research your property. Make sure that the person that is selling the property is legitimately the person that's able to sign over for the property, because otherwise you could be getting yourself into a deeper hole than you want to be in.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, definitely very, very insightful, and a good little warning to anybody that's trying to steamroll the process and get through it quickly. You should probably take a step or two back, cross your T's, dot your I's, get the ducks in a row, and just just don't give yourself some nasty surprise in the future just because you didn't, do something relatively simple, especially if you've got a company like Equity or somebody else that you've vetted that is willing to go the extra mile for you, and, cross all those T's, dot those I's, and kind of hold your hand through the process and make it smooth. So once again,
And
Cindy, thank you.
no
We'll get you
problem,
back
no
on
problem.
soon. We'll definitely get
All
you
right,
back on soon. Have a nice
all right.
day.
Thank you, you too. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So what we've got up here is the investment process for self-directed IRAs. So if you're tuning in, you obviously know about NuView, you know the services we provide to our clients. If, after this webinar or some of the other ones you've seen, you're looking to get started, this is what the investment process is going to look like. Number one, you got to complete our self-directed IRA application and submit it to IRA specialists at NuViewTrust.com. Also a good email address to use if you have any questions about certain investment types, if something might be prohibited, if you might be transacting with a disqualified party. IRA specialists such as myself at NuView, that's what we're here for, is to make sure that you have a resource that you can come to and you can feel confident in your investing, because a confident investor is somebody that knows the tools available to them, knows what rules they have to navigate around. That's the kind of clients that NuView wants to have. So the more educated you are, the better your investment journey is going to be. And that's why we do a lot of these webinars, is to educate our clients the best. So number two, you need to fund your IRA. So this can be done via rollover, transfer, or contribution. Number three is locate your IRA investment. So you may have already started this process. You may already have an investment in mind. And what you want to make sure is when you're drafting any purchase contracts, if you're investing in an LLC or an LP where there's an operating agreement or subscription agreement, the number one important thing is just to make sure that that investment is titled properly in the name of your IRA. So the proper vesting, if the IRA was at NuView, would be NuView Trust Company Custodian, FBO, for the benefit of your name and your account number. So that anytime there's an instance of the buyer or the investor, you want to make sure that that vesting is there. That shows that your IRA is the owner. It's not you personally. Your IRA is a separate entity. Number four, you're going to submit a NuView purchase packet along with the contract or agreement associated with the investment. And the purchase packet is what serves as your written authorization to NuView to invest your IRA funds into a particular asset. And this is important because the investor in these situations is your IRA. It's a separate entity from you as a person. And this just means that you're not going to be the one that's signing off on a lot of these documents. Somebody, a NuView representative, would have to sign off on behalf of your IRA. But we're not going to do anything without direction from you. So this is where the written authorization comes in the form of the purchase packet to facilitate the funding of that investment. Number five, we do exactly that. We review the documents and we fund the investment. Should everything check out, make sure everything is in good order, we have everything we need, that the investment is titled properly in the name of your NuView IRA, and we'll fund that investment for you. So just as a reminder, we're not financial advisors, we're not tax advisors. We can give you ballpark view, top level of the rules you have to navigate, what's a valid investment for an IRA, what's not a valid investment. But as far as the due diligence on the investments themselves, whether or not they're a good or bad investment, that's where self-directed IRAs are special, is because you're the investor, you're the entrepreneur, and you can make those decisions for yourself. And to reiterate what I said before, this is extremely powerful for the right person, where they can maybe take a skill set they already know or they've already mastered and apply it in a tax sheltered vehicle like an IRA. Now, IRA investments, they do have to be a little bit more hands-off. It might be a little bit different of a process, but generally speaking, most of it's the same, except it's going to be titled in the name of your IRA. There's going to be some rules you have to navigate. Aside from that, everything is pretty much the same. So that's the process to get started with NuView with a self-directed IRA. And today, just like last week, we're doing a little special. So the first 10 people that email IRA specialists at NuViewTrust.com will get a free self-directed IRA, HSA, ESA, or solo 401k. We'll waive that application cost for you. So like I said, IRA specialist at NuViewTrust.com. That email will be on the next slide. But this offer, it will be expiring by February 28th, it says right there. I know I said it'll be good for today, but just because the slide says something different, I'm going to abide by that just because we're honest people here. And so if you send us an email to IRA specialist at NuViewTrust.com, just reference this webinar that you attended it, and we'll make sure that the account that you set up, it has that application fee waived. On this slide, we got a nifty little QR code. This is going to bring you to our educational resources page on our website where you can register for upcoming webinars. You can check out our blog. You can also check out the archive of any previous webinar we've done as well. So that's kind of your go-to spot for all things education, all things NuView. We're probably going to have another live event coming up towards the latter half of this year, probably at the end of summer. If you guys remember, maybe you attended, but we did one back in January. It was a 2-day investor retreat packed full of great speakers. And attendance was great. People loved it. And it went well enough that we're planning on doing another one soon. So definitely stay up to date with us. Keep an eye out for that next event that we're doing. Keep an eye out for the next webinars that we've got. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're on all of those social platforms. So make sure you give us a follow there as well. Otherwise, I definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. It's my first time hosting a webinar, and I think it went somewhat smoothly, but I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. Just be gentle in the comments, okay? Otherwise, you guys stick around for next week. We'll definitely get that link up soon for our next presentation. We hope to see you there, and that's me signing off. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.